What's up guys, you're watching Gregorio Girls Makeup. If you're new, my name's Shauna and I run this channel with my sister Devin. And today I have this all drugstore, all affordable fall look for you. Most of the products in this video are products that Devin and I have both tried numerous times, have loved, would recommend to anyone. A few of them are a little bit newer and I'm still kind of testing, well, new to me, and I'm still kind of testing them out. But for the most part, all of these products are products that I would highly recommend from the drugstore. Before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and click that little notification bell. That's just going to notify you whenever Devin or I post so you don't miss any of our videos. And lastly, don't forget to follow us both on Instagram. I'm at Shauna Greggs and Devin is at DevDevGreggs. And if you would like to see how I got this look, just keep on watching. Alright, so starting off, I'm going to first prime my face with the Milani Starting off, I'm going to prime my face with the Milani Prime Perfection Face Primer. This is the Hydrating and Pore Minimizing Primer. Also, please excuse my skin. It is clearly freaking out. I ate some sugar over the weekend and it's not having it. Does not like that. But I'm an addict and I can't stop eating sugar. So. Okay, so next for foundation, I'm going to take the L'Oreal Pro Glow Foundation. So I want to do an all matte eye look for this tutorial. So I want our skin to have a little bit of life to it. Not that if it's a matte finish, it doesn't have life to it, but I just don't want everything to look so flat and so dry. So that's why I'm going to pair it with more of a dewy finish on my skin. And I'm going to mix the shades 201 Classic Ivory and 205 Natural Beige just because I can never find my exact color in foundations. I always have to kind of mix a little foundation cocktail. So that's what we're going to do. And hopefully this matches. Now that I think about it, I probably should have did my eyes first because I think I'm going to do like a dark brown smoky eye. So whoops. Sorry about that, but at this point I'm just going to go with it. I feel like I always do that. I always have like how I want my video to go in my head. And then once I sit down to film, it's like, no. So next for concealer, I'm going to use the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. I've talked about this before on our channel. You guys know that I really like this concealer. I'm just not a big fan of the applicator. I also think this color might be too dark for me at the moment, but this was the only drugstore concealer that I currently have in my collection. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that I don't look stupid. And what I like to do is just take a concealer brush and just kind of like get some off the top. And I like to bring my concealer down as opposed to out because I have a rounder face. And I don't want to make my face look wider. I want to make it look longer and leaner. I could also lay off the donuts to make it a little bit leaner too, but you know. So next for setting powder, I am of course going to use the Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder. And I'm going to set my whole face with that. Again, this is probably my favorite drugstore powder. It's really finely milled. I feel like it gives you a nice like airbrushed finish. I've never noticed any type of flashback in photography whenever I set my face with this. And I think it's available at like Walgreens and Walmart and things like that. And I will link all the products that I use in this video down in the description box, just in case you guys are interested in checking any of them out. Moving to bronzer, I'm going to use the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This is the light bronzer. So if you have a fair to light skin tone, I would definitely check out this shade. So you can tell this was well loved by Devin and I by how much of the pan is showing. So I like this bronzer because it's not too orange and I just think it blends really nicely. I'm going to take it on my Morphe R10 brush. And I'm just gonna flip the brush this way and get it right into the hollows of my cheeks. And just gonna do little circular motions, and I want to deposit most of the color right in here. And then I'll start kind of blending it down and taking it more towards the corner of my mouth. And I'm always blending higher up as opposed to coming down here because that's gonna make my cheek kind of look saggy and kind of draw it down. So you always want to keep your brush and blending up high so that you lift your cheekbones. And then because I am super obnoxious and super extra and super high maintenance, and just super annoying. I'm going to take my Morphe R2 brush, and this is the brush that I like to use on my forehead. So I have one brush for contouring my cheeks and then one for my forehead. You can definitely use this brush to bronze up your cheeks as well, but I like mine a little bit more focused and more of a contour, so that's why I use a smaller and thinner brush. But you can definitely do all of it with this big fluffy brush right here. Now I'm going to hop to my eyes really quick. So I'm going to take my NYX Micro Brow Pencil, this is in the shade Ash Brown, and just do my eyebrows off camera. I've done this a million times, so I don't want to bore you guys with the same thing. And then I'll be right back to start my eyeshadow. Alright, and then next, the only product that I am going to mention today that is not drugstore or affordable is this product right here. This is my MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. I'm just going to use this to prime my eyelids, so I'm sorry I don't have a drugstore primer. And then I'm just going to set that with more of my Airspun powder. So the reason that I flip to my eyes before I finish the rest of my face is because I want to put some translucent powder under my eyes as I'm doing my eyeshadow. Alright, so I'm going to be using the Milani Pure Passions palette today. This palette is really good. You guys know I love this palette, but it is really pigmented and it does have a lot of fallout. So ideally, I should have probably done my eyes first, but of course I forgot in true Shauna fashion. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and just put down some translucent powder right under my eyes. So I just take some on my beauty blender and layer it under there, and what this does is if any fallout falls down onto my cheekbones, this is going to save it. I can just wipe it away after I'm done, and I won't have ruined my face makeup. I'm sure many of you would know this trick already, but if you are a beginner, this is just a good little tip to have in the back of your mind so that you don't screw up your face. Okay, so like I said, I'm using the Milani Pure Passions palette. I really love this palette. I said earlier, it's super pigmented, and I did mention that it does have fallout, so if that's something that bothers you, I probably wouldn't recommend this palette to you. But again, just a nice neutral warm tone palette. It's really small and compact, so it's good for travel, and it's got a really big mirror. Mine's disgusting, so don't mind that. But if you're not looking to spend too much on an eyeshadow palette, I would definitely recommend checking out either Milani or the ColourPop palettes. So first what I want to do is I want to start with the shadow that I want to put all over my lid and then work up to my transition shades. This isn't what I normally do. This is actually the reverse, but I just want to see kind of how this technique works. I've seen it done a lot, but I never really have done it myself, so hopefully it doesn't look bad. And before I even go in with any of my eyeshadow, because I'm doing an all matte look, a lot of times when I put a matte shade all over my lid, it gets a little patchy. So what you can do to make sure that your shadows go on nice and pigmented and bold, especially the matte ones when you're putting it all over your lid, is you can take either an eyeshadow crayon that's a similar color and lay it down and then put the shadow on top of that. You can do a cream shadow base, same thing, kind of match the color up and then put it on, and then put your color on top of that. But if you don't have either of those products that kind of match the shade that you want to put all over your eye, what you can do is use something like this paint pot. So I'm going to go in just with my finger and get a little bit more of that product on and just pat it all over my lid. And then I'm going to put the shadow on top of that so it has that nice creamy base to grab onto so that the shadow, like I said, doesn't go on too patchy. So that's a little tip if you don't feel like buying a creamy eyeshadow base in every color of the rainbow. If you have something like this can typically save you with most colors. Alright, so with my Morphe M167 brush, I'm going to dip into that dark brown shade right here. And I'm just going to start packing that on my lid, and you can see that it's coming out nice and dark and deep. That's exactly what I want. And I'm only going to take this up to where my natural crease is because I want to blend it out, and I don't want to take it up too far and then have to blend it out really high, and then the brown takes over my whole eye up into my eyebrow and I don't have any room for transition shades. Alright, so we kind of have raccoon eyes right now. So I'm going to go in with a clean Morphe R37 brush and just start to lightly buff out the edges of that brown. And then once you blended it out a little bit and you see where it's getting a little bit patchy and you lose some of the pigment because you are blending, just go ahead and reapply a little bit more until you like the pigment, and then kind of repeat the process until it's as pigmented and then the edges are as blended as you want. And I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those looks that's going to look like complete and utter butt cheeks until the end, so just stay with me. And then on my Morphe M441 brush, I'm going to go into this shade right here. And with these shades, just get a little bit at a time, again, just so nothing kind of gets out of hand and you have to blend it up really high and it looks like a mess. So I'm just going to get a very little bit, tap off any excess, and start blending around the edges of where the brown was blended. And start just kind of moving that color up. And then you can see how I kind of have a line in between the brown and that like burnt red color, burnt red, burnt orange color. I'm going to take my Morphe M506 brush and just dip into more of the dark brown and get right in there to make sure everything connects. And then go back in with the brush that has the burnt red on it and make sure everything's nice and blended. You can also use a flat packing brush like the one that you used to pack on the dark brown shade and kind of get in there and stamp a little bit of shadow along there, and then go ahead and blend it out with the brush that you had the burnt orange shade on. And this look is simple, but it just takes a lot of blending, so be patient and just kind of add and blend where you feel like you need to. So next I'm going to take my Morphe M535 brush and dip into this mid-tone shade right here. Again, just a very little bit, tapping off the excess and lightly blending that around the perimeter. And that's really going to diffuse all the colors and just kind of have them blend nicely and seamlessly into that last shade. And now I'm just taking a clean fluffy brush just to go through again and kind of clean everything up right in my crease. Next I'm just gonna take a brush and wipe away all the excess translucent powder that I put under there. And then taking my E18 brush from Morphe, I'm gonna dip into that lightest shade that we used and smoke it along my lash line. And I want this to be really smoky, so I'm taking it pretty far down. And then next with the same brush, I'm gonna dip back into this shade right here and do the same thing. And then I'm just gonna take the flat brush side of an Anastasia Beverly Hills brush, and I'm dipping into our dark brown shade and smudging that closer and tighter into my lash line. And take that all the way into your inner corner. All right, and flipping it back to our face, I'm gonna take the Flower Beauty Seal the Deal Hydrating Setting Spray. This is their dewy finish. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this setting spray yet, but it's the only drugstore one I have, so we're gonna roll with it. And before that sets, I'm gonna go in with the Wet n Wild highlighter in the shade Golden Flower Crown. Taking my Morphe E36 brush, we're just gonna take a little bit more of that highlight and hit our inner corner and under our brow bone with it. For blush, I'm taking the Milani powder blush. This is in the shade Blossomtime Rose. I love these Milani blushes. I think I've talked about this one before. And what I like about these is they're not like just straight pigmented, like they're a little bit sheer and have a little bit of a sheen to them. So I just curled my lashes, and for mascara, I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara. This is something that I'm testing out. This is not a mascara that I've ever used before. So these products I've tested out for a while. I love them, would highly recommend them to anyone. But a few of them, like the setting spray and this mascara, I'm still kind of figuring out how I feel about them. And then for lashes, I'm going in with a favorite. These are the Kiss number 11 lashes. For lip liner, I'm going to use the NYX lip liner in the shade Nude Suede Shoes. For lipstick, I use the Rimmel London Stay Matte Lipstick in the shade Latte to go. Alright, and that completes this tutorial. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and follow us both on Instagram. I'm at Shauna Greggs and Devin is at DevDevGreggs, and we will see you in our next video.